Hi everyone, and welcome to this webinar. Today, I want to talk to you about on how you can become an efficient vulnerability assessment analyst and information security administrator. So let's start by talking about who am I? So my name is Jean Carlos, and I am currently the group head of information security at Nomad Foods. I have been in the information security industry for the last 10 years of my life. I have operated across several global organizations, providing information security leadership, management, securing digital transformation, also providing vulnerability assessments and penetration testing, risk management, auditing, and etc. I also delivered programs on a global scale, such as ISO 27001, NIST, CIS controls, PCI DSS, SOX, and GDPR. So I have a very good experience of hands-on technical implementation, but also understand how the business operates. As you can see on the screen, I have various qualifications. And in my opinion, my humble opinion, I truly believe qualifications, education, and certification in the industry that we are, which is information security, is of a ultimate importance. When you take new training and certifications, it will teach you the basic and the foundation that you need in order to perform your role successfully, and also will differentiate you from others because you have a worldwide recognized certification from a reputable organization. So I highly recommend for any one of you who is looking to get into the world of cybersecurity to truly thinking about getting appropriate education and certification in our industry. So today we will talk a little bit about on the pathway for you to become an efficient at these two roles on your screen right now. So the first one, so actually I just want to first provide a quick overview of these two roles, because sometimes people confuse them. People think that the responsibility of the first role is the same one as the one on the second role. And it is not. Unless you work for a small business where usually you will perform these two roles at the same time. But if you work for a large organization which has a lot of IT systems, it is very likely they will have two different personnel and sometimes even a team to do these roles. So I just want to outline the difference between them. So the first one, vulnerability assessment analyst, is a person that is responsible for defining, identifying, classifying, and prioritizing vulnerability in IT systems, application, and network infrastructure, and providing the organization with the necessary, so this need to have the necessary knowledge, awareness, and risk background of the organization that they work for, so they can properly treat and react to vulnerabilities within the organization appropriately. So, in a nutshell, the role of this person is to understand the organization systems, implement methods to identify vulnerabilities within the systems, prioritize these vulnerabilities and then provide recommended remediation actions to remove the vulnerabilities from those systems. And then you communicate that to the appropriate department. This role is not a hands-on technical role. However, you still need to know the technical language because you will be expected to understand the systems within the organization and how it works. And also the criticality of those systems to the organization you work for. Because this is how you will be able to classify and prioritize which vulnerabilities should be resolved first based on the criticality of that system to the organization you work for. And the next role is the information security administrator. As again, sometimes people confuse this role. They sometimes think these two roles do the same job, but they do not. Again, unless you work for a small organization. But I will clarify right now what an information security administrator does. And this is the person responsible for the administration of the organization's cybersecurity systems. He or she will respond to any new security threats. I am talking about virus, ransomware attack, phishing attack. In case the intrusion detection system identifies someone is trying to DDoS the organization network, or someone is trying to attack the website, this is the person that will implement the force controls or remediation activities to reduce that risk or to remove that threat to the organization. This person will also perform some vulnerability testing, network management, intrusion detection and prevention, plus the maintenance of the security systems in the environment. So you can see the main between this role and the one we already discussed on the top is that the security administrator will do the hands-on work, the hands-on implementation. For example, if there's a need to implement a new firewall, this is the person that will work with the network team to implement that hands-on, physically, virtually hands-on implement that. You need to understand how the firewall works inside out. Enter the commands on the firewall to properly configure that, to make sure it is secure. This person also will manage the intrusion detection and prevention system. So he will implement new rules to identify new intrusions into the organization network. And as you can see, he also does the maintenance of the live IT systems. Meaning, for example, this is usually the person that will implement a new security policy hands-on to all companies or servers in the organization to protect those systems. This is the person that also will maintain, for example, the anti-malware and perform patch management. So the main difference between these two roles is that the security administrator is a hands-on person that will implement the hands-on technical controls. Now I want to go in a little bit more detail on each role and what are the skills required if you are new to this world. Let's say, for instance, you work in the IT field or you work in a similar field and you want to become one of these two roles. Here we will talk on the skill sets required for you to successfully perform one of these two roles. So as a vulnerability assessment analyst, the first skill required is to set up, configure, and administrate vulnerability assessment solutions. Here you will be expected to identify automated and manual systems and processes in order for you to identify vulnerabilities within the organization you work for. The second one is identify vulnerabilities, analyze, and suggest remediation actions. You need to be able to identify vulnerability in time, but when you identify the vulnerability, you need to analyze. And once you analyze and you show that the vulnerability exists in one of the systems within the organization you work for, you need to suggest remediation actions, which is the process or the steps required for a vulnerability to be mitigated. The third one is automation, design, and implementation, including scripting. Here is where you'll be expected to make your life easier. Because usually if you perform only this role in a large organization, to make your life easier and also to be more efficient, you have to learn automation. How do I make my system that identify vulnerabilities? As soon as vulnerability is identified, I quickly classify that. And when I classify that, and I'm sure this vulnerability exists, it will send an email, automated email, to the network system, for example. They will pick this up, they will implement a remediation, and then they will mark the ticket as resolved. And then it will come back to your system, and then your system will redo another vulnerability automatically, and then it will just send a report to you or to your email saying this vulnerability is successfully remediated. So you can see here, you're making your life much easier. You're improving your vulnerability identification process and also remediation. So imagine if you manage your organization with thousands and thousands of systems, automation is of a ultimate importance. The other point is manually validate report findings to reduce false positives. We already spoke about this on item 2, which when you identify vulnerability, you have to perform basic checks to make sure that the vulnerability reporting in your dashboard or the manual process using to identify a vulnerability, that vulnerability actually exists. Because sometimes a system will identify a vulnerability, but when you actually try to exploit, when you actually try to take advantage of the vulnerability, the vulnerability does not exist. It's not valid. That's why it's called false positive. It's something on the dashboard that it says positive, but when you test, it's false. So it's a false positive. The next one is assistance with patch management. Again, when you give a recommendation, for example, to the system administrator to implement a patch because, for example, you are running a vulnerable version of a Linux operation system, this is when you are assisting with that patch management. And also after the system administrator come back to you and say this vulnerability has been resolved, you will be expected to redo this test to make sure the vulnerability has been mitigated. So this is when you assist with the patch management. Also, you need to maintain vulnerabilities database. This will be provided as part of the bullet point 1, which is when you implement the system, you automatically the system will save all the vulnerabilities within the organization you work for, meaning you have a database of the vulnerabilities live in your IT systems, but also the vulnerabilities you already remediated. I think this is good enough for the vulnerability assessment analyst. I think the main point that I'm trying to provide to you here is to show you the basic skills required for you to be successful at this role. If you're looking for this role or if you're currently at this role, make sure that you are at least doing all of this in your screen, because this will not just guarantee, but also differentiate you from other people that only do the basic. These skill sets are foundational skill sets, but foundation doesn't mean it's easy to implement. Foundation means you have the foundation core. So this is one of the most important skill sets to be successful at this role. And last but not least, before you go, let's say you're thinking about join or get a job as a vulnerability assessment analyst, think a little bit. Do you have the personality traits required, such as, are you creative? Are you curious? Are you attentive to details? Can you be imaginative? And the reason why you need some of these traits, it's to match very well with these skill sets. Because it doesn't matter if you have an amazing vulnerability assessment solution, but you don't have these skill traits, because you need to be curious and creative to always keep and find new vulnerabilities and improving the way you identify vulnerabilities. The next one is information security administrator. This, as part of this role, you will be expected, again, to be hands-on. I'm not going to go through every single bullet point, because what I'm trying to say in here, if you want to be successful in this role, you have to understand how Active Directory architecture works, how intrusion detection systems and prevention are configured and set up. You have to understand how network infrastructure are designed, configured, and maintained. If you are using cloud architecture, or if you're using cloud services such as AWS, Azure, or Google Cloud Platform, do you understand how this truly works, how it is connecting to your network? But not just understand from a high level. Have you ever implemented this before, hands-on? Do you understand the commands, the protocols required, the services required, the ports required? Also, have you performed Windows and Linux operation system security administration, such as hardening of the operation system? Have you done this before? Have you implemented the CIS controls to your organization, or the CIS benchmarks? Have you actually implemented a malware endpoint protection across your whole organization? So again, you have to be very hands-on, technical, truly understand how technology works from inside out if you want to be successful at this role. And the personality traits, the two main ones, in my opinion, is that you have to be a team player and willing to learn. Because technology it evolves every day. It changes every day, pretty much. There are new security threats every day. So if you're not willing to learn, you're gonna fall behind. You will not be able to remain successful or efficient in this industry if you don't have this personality trait. So think careful and make sure you have the willing to learn new skills, willing to learn what is going on in the cybersecurity industry. Because if you don't have those personality traits, I don't recommend this role to you. Remember, this is a very hands-on technical role in order to be successful. I want to go very briefly on how I, Jean Carlos, migrated from IT to a cybersecurity role. It's funny how I actually got my first role. And all I did was being self-motivated. Nobody came to me and said, hey, cybersecurity is amazing. Hey, the salary is really good. Hey, cybersecurity, it's easy. No. I had to be self-motivated, because there were so many certifications, so many jobs, everyone talking about cybersecurity, but it was really hard. Okay, how do I get into this industry? How do I migrate from IT? I was a system administrator, hands-on system administrator, and I was, how do I migrate from where I am to cybersecurity? If I don't really get anyone to help me, I don't know how to get started. What should I do? And I say being self-motivated. And you might be thinking, oh, you know, you're not being real here, and I am. And I'll tell you how I migrate from system administrator to cybersecurity. And what I did, I was a system administrator to a medium-sized organization. And I was like, I want to do cybersecurity, but my company does not want to give me the attention I need, or they don't really understand security. What should I do to show them that security is important and that this organization is at risk? So I went to the internet and I searched about the CIS controls. And then I check out the top 20 CIS controls. And I say, you know what? I will implement this. I will check if my organization are compliant with this top 20 controls. So I did the assessment myself with the help of the other IT members. And the results were like, wasn't good. So I presented the result to my manager. And my manager was in shock. He was like, wow, do we really have all these cybersecurity risks? Are we really not doing the top 5 controls? And I say, no, we're not. And then he trusted, from there, he started to trust me to do the cybersecurity implementations. But then I was scared. I was like, how would I do this? I do know a lot about IT. I do understand a little bit about cybersecurity, but I never received any proper education in this field. And I will come to this topic again on how I managed to get the necessary foundation education in order to be successful security in the information security space. But again, as you can see, I got my first job in cybersecurity by just being self-motivated. I went to the public internet, I learned about something, I've implemented at my organization, presented the result to my manager, and he was happy with, he wasn't happy with the result, but he then from there started to trust me to do more, to focus on the cybersecurity job. And then I was promoted to security system administrator. So again, if you want to succeed in this industry, you have to be self-motivated. That's the first and the main advice I gave to you. Be self-motivated. And if you're still thinking about, is this industry really worth it? And I can guarantee to you, it is. The last time I did the search, if you just type on LinkedIn, I did a search on cybersecurity, or was information security roles, and there was more than 200,000 roles available worldwide. And this is just on LinkedIn. I'm not counting, or I'm not talking about any of the other platforms. This is pure LinkedIn. And I did a narrow search on just the roles that we discussed on this presentation, which is security system administrator and vulnerability analyst. And I came with these numbers. Just on LinkedIn, if you are a junior role, if you want to become a junior at these roles, like your entry-level role, there was 32,000 roles available. And this is just on LinkedIn. Imagine if you go and start looking for in all of the other, websites, which is out there. So as you can see, there is a lot of cybersecurity roles. However, you have to be motivated, well-trained, otherwise it will just be another one. So you have to differentiate yourself. So be motivated first of all, and train yourself, educate yourself, and prove that you are well educated. Because if you do what I just recommended, You can clearly see this is entry-level salary. Of course, sometimes you will work for a small organization, which your salary will be probably 50K. But it can go, from that range, but usually you're gonna get a salary of 75, 70K, which is just impressive for a entry-level role. So cybersecurity, guys, it's of the ultimate. It's it's a really good industry to be in. And when I say entry-level role, of course, for example, I came from the IT industry, so I came from a system administrator. When I say entry-level role, you already have some experience in IT or another field, project management or systems analysis. But this role here, vulnerability assessment and information security administrator are entry-level roles. And the salary for these roles, entry-level roles, it's very impressive. So I highly recommend you to come to this industry if you have if you think it's for you. And I want to go through this slide very quickly, which is to mention to you a organization which is called NIS. NIS is National Initiative for Cybersecurity Education. And the mission of this organization is to energize and promote a robust network and ecosystem of cybersecurity education, training, and workforce development. So basically, they said organizations are failing to properly train people and properly defend the systems within the organization. We need to help them. So they defined roles. So basically they say, with the knowledge that we have of the industry, organizations require to have these roles here in order to properly protect their organization. As you can see on the right-hand side of your screen, they came with a lot of roles, and a lot of the roles that they define, which is needed in the information security space, a lot of them required you to be an ethical hacker, meaning you need some ethical hacking skills. But then I ask you, how exactly is ethical hacking, and how do you get this experience? How do you get this knowledge? There's so much organizations out there selling ethical hacking. On the internet, if you type ethical hacking, so much people is telling you what ethical hacking is. So how do I truly know what ethical hacking is? So how can I get the qualifications needed for me to be able to do all of these roles, or at least think about doing all of these roles? And my recommendation to you is that you get training from a reputable organization with a reputable training, such as the CEH from EC Council. This was my first cybersecurity training and certification. And it was one of the most important ones. And the reason why I say this, it's because you can see on the sixth advantage on the right-hand side of your screen that when you take the certified ethical hacker, you will improve your knowledge of the risks and vulnerabilities, meaning you will understand the foundation of cybersecurity, what cybersecurity is true, what it is about, what are the risks and vulnerabilities in this industry. Also, it's not just useful for penetration testers. People think that this certification is pure for penetration testers. It is not. When you take this certification, you learn about incident management, incident response, risk management, penetration testing, vulnerability assessment, cloud architecture, security system administration, network security. You learn a lot. Hence why it was my first certification, and it's the one I recommend to anyone coming to this industry, because it will give the foundation. And as you can see, the two final points in here is that the CH will boost your salary, and also it will advance your security career for sure, because it differentiates you from other people who does not have the qualification from a reputable organization such as EC Council. And clear in this slide, you can see that if you have the CH in your wallet, in your pocket, it truly shows that your salary you have the opportunity to get a better salary and job opportunity because you have the CH badge under your name. And when HR, when people are looking to hire cybersecurity professionals, CH most of the time is a requirement or a recommended requirement in order for you to perform a cybersecurity role. So again, CH course and certification is of the ultimate importance if you want to start in this industry. And this is all for today. Thank you very much for your time. And I just want to outline to you, if you want to learn more about CH, if you want to enroll and get certified and start to understand what is to be an ethical hacker, just go to this website in your screen. And then this website will give all the information you need in order to be a successful at all of those roles that we covered today, provide you the foundation, and even more. So thank you very much for your time today. It's been great to be here. And I just want to outline something very quickly. Just in case you have experience in this industry already, and maybe you have a passion for mobile ethical hacking, and you want to get into this industry, go to this website at your screen. The complete mobile ethical hacking. This is a course provided by EC Council, which will provide you with all the foundation required for you to understand, what a mobile ethical, how to do, mobile hacking, mobile penetration testing. So if this is your passion, if this is the industry you want to get into, highly recommend that you go to this website. So thank you very much for your time today. I'll be staying here for the next few minutes to answer any questions or doubts that you may have. Thank you very much.